My colleagues on the dais and the great minds in the audience, my pronouns to you. You know, I am a professor of electrical engineering at IIT Delhi. I work in the area of nanoelectronics, nanotechnology. Day in and day out, I used to think about integrated circuits, design, modeling, simulation, technology, and so on. It's only about 10 months ago I joined JNU. And now, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing that comes to my mind is freedom of expression, debate, dissent, strike, dharnas, and gheraos. This is what comes to my mind. But however, please excuse me, today the topic is higher education. I will not be speaking about what is happening in JNU or how we were illegally confined for more than 22 hours, without food, without sleep. Let's come back to higher education. You see, no society has ever advanced without good human resources. And the function of the universities is to develop and nurture these human resources. How do they do it? Well, it's very complex, but to give a very simple technical answer, we try to improve the higher order cognitive skills of the students. We create a teaching learning environment where they are encouraged to critically think, they are encouraged to synthesize the information, ask the questions, and use this knowledge in contrived and real life problems to find solutions. In India, with our goal to increase the gross enrollment ratio, soon we will be required to educate almost 1/3 of Indian population. Education is the 5th largest sector in India. But unfortunately, only 30 million of these students actually reach the higher educational portals. We have about 750 universities, about 40,000 colleges, and so on. But however, the most unfortunate part is NAC recently in their report has said that more than 60% of these universities are below average. More than 90% of these colleges are below average. So how are we going to solve this problem of higher education? The fact that India Ideas Conclave has chosen this topic for discussion shows the importance that we need to attach to this. The first University Education Commission was formed in 1948. It is called Dr. Radhakrishnan's Commission. Later, in 64 to 66, the Kothari Commission came. One striking aspect of these two commissions is that they said there are 5 primary objectives of higher education. I would like to mention those here because they are relevant even today. They said the first thing a university must do is provide greater access to its education. A university must be inclusive. A university must focus on excellence. University also should think from time to time what they are doing is relevant. And most importantly, they said universities should also focus on promoting social values. And even today, with increasing aspirations of Indians for good education, these 5 challenges remain in front of us. Let me look at the greater access to education. Today, when we talk about higher education, we imagine a system where students come to a university, attend the classrooms, stay in the hostels, and get educated. IIT Delhi, for example, after 50 years of its existence, we still admit only 1,500 students per year. JNU admits only 2,000 students per year. Is that providing greater access to the aspiring Indians? I think we need to change our mindset. We need to look at alternate ways of imparting education to the large number of youth who are looking forward for good quality higher education. But you will be surprised that the biggest resistance comes from the teachers themselves. They would like to remain within their comfort zone. They don't want many changes to take place in the higher education. This is the biggest challenge before us. One thing that we should do, among several other things, we must introduce technology in our educational process. We should be able to, when I walk into a classroom, I like teaching large classes. Sometimes the number of students in my class are larger than the audience here. But I still feel when I give my lectures, why should it go only to 200 students? Why can't it go to 20,000 students across the country? That is where I think we need to bring in technology. I agree that a real teacher can never be replaced by technology. But we must look at alternate ways of imparting education to our youth. The second thing that they mentioned is inclusivity. See, the term inclusivity in higher education came sometime in early 1970s when people who are physically disabled wanted to join in higher educations. How do we make the classrooms accessible? How do you make the study material accessible to these people? That is how the inclusivity came. But today, it is a fact that it is not just physical disability, but there are people who are disadvantaged sections of the society, a large number of them, who are socially and economically disadvantaged. They come from marginalized sections, and they don't have the same equal opportunity and access to the higher education. So how do we do that? How do we make our higher education inclusive so that a larger cross-section of our society also gets benefited? We need to think about that. For example, in JNU, we have very inclusive admission policies. You won't believe that in many IITs, the SC and ST seats are, a large number of them go unfilled. On the other hand, in JNU, if you have to admit 7.5% ST students, we have 8%, 9% ST students in the university. If you have to admit 15% SC students, we have close to 18% SC students. If you have to admit 27.5 OBC students, we have close to 33%. Why not the other universities look at their admission policies so that we become more inclusive? The other thing is the excellence. When we talk about excellence, the first thing that comes to our mind is, why is that our IITs and other institutes are not in the top 100 global rankings? The most unfortunate part is many of us do not realize how skewed these global rankings are. How politically and technologically biased are these rankings? Reducing the entire complex functioning of a university into a single number for public display is so bad, many people do not realize. Our universities have greater functions to realize. The primary function of our universities is to produce good quality education to large number of Indians who are looking forward for it. And whenever we talk about excellence, in many educational systems today, accountability is a word that is not there in the dictionary. Recently, we have done a little survey in our own department, in electrical engineering department at IIT Delhi. And we found that we took one component, for example, publications. How do the faculty publish their work? We found that 80% of the publications of the entire department, consisting of about 60 faculty, comes from only 20% of the faculty. What are the rest of the faculty doing? Why is that they are also not as equally productive as these 20% faculty? I think that accountability is something is missing in our educational institutes, and that is one reason why we are not able to achieve the excellence that we are supposed to achieve. The other point these commissions have mentioned is the relevance. How relevant is the work that we are doing in the universities? Today we produce close to 1 million engineers. Do we require them? Not even 10% of them are employable. So how relevant is our university education? On the other hand, we should be training thousands and lakhs of them in various skills so that they can be gainfully employed. How relevant is our higher education for today's requirements? This is something I think our higher educational institutes have to focus on. For example, why should universities focus only on students who go out and search for jobs? Why not universities come up with programs or create an ecosystem where students themselves become job creators? I think this is something totally lacking in our university system. The last one that the Commission has emphasized, and it is relevant even today, is promoting social values. I would like to take 1 minute or so to put forward my idea on this. Unfortunately, today, our societies are led by two sets of people, the economists and the technologists. They tell us how to make money, and they tell us how to acquire the materialistic possessions. Look at how the old economies originated. You know, in olden days, after fulfilling all our requirements, we used to share our surplus with our neighbors. And that led to better relationships with each other, which is very, very essential to build a healthy society. But over a period of time, we started using money as a medium of transaction, and then the producer and the consumer got separated. And we started exchanging the man-made scarce goods. And then the science and technology came, the innovations came. Now, imagine the life of people who lived 100 years ago. They were using far less energy. And whatever energy requirements they had, they came from simple means, animal labor, water, wind, and so on. But today, we use hundreds of times more energy than what they were using. Have our lives become any better? Are we living any more happier than those people? Certainly not. Our lives have become very, very complex. Why is it so? Well, when we become scientific, when you are a scientist, you are supposed to be rational. But unfortunately, when you are too rational, it will also rob from us the neutral values such as love, compassion, and a sense of sharing. Today, we have become so self-centered, it robs us of any opportunity to be self-aware and prudent to contribute to this society. So how do you change this? In fact, if you ask a behavioral neuroscientist, he will describe us as pleasure-seeking human animals. Are we doing anything to bring this sense of social responsibility among our students? This is totally lacking. I think each one of us should contribute in our own small way to change the system. That is the only way we can go forward. I would like to conclude by recollecting what Mahatma Gandhi has said. Whatever you do in your life, it will be insignificant, but the most important thing is to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.